Let's talk about the business plan. Let's talk about what we need in order to entice an investor early on before we have anything really firmed up to give us some money. This is something we put together very early in order to verify A, the validity of a project, and B, to see if there's even some interest with someone to help us, ideally with some development money, so we can start putting the various pieces together so the business plan as it is on paper can become reality. Putting your project together, as a script and thinking about the cast, thinking about your team members, director, DP, art department, locations, all these things is very important. But it is also important to condense all this down into a business plan, which basically becomes your business expose for your project. And in this case, you are not only introducing it as an idea, but you also walk the investor and anyone really who you're showing this to through the profitability of your project. At some point you have to put together a little business plan for your own project. And what you need to do is you really need to research exactly what the business cases you want to make. You're going to research your financials, you apply everything you learned here, you're going to research who's out there competing with you, and you're going to research your audience, you're going to research your market, you're going to research who would you go to distribute your project, you're going to research locations in order to optimize your finance plan. You're going to ideally combine forces with established executives who can help you get this thing on its way. You really have to define your vision, and you have to define why your story is relevant today. Why are you telling it today? You're going to rehearse the presentation with people that hopefully give you honest feedback, and then you are going to figure out a way to show that you have skin in the game by maybe putting up a little bit of money, by financing some development yourself, just showing the investor that yours and his interest is aligned. So practically what that looks like when you put your business expose together, you're going to establish this expose in a very visual manner, because you only get one shot to show something, and especially because you're working on a business plan that is to do with a visual media. It needs to look good. There's just no doubt about it. So think about what kind of color scheme, what kind of mood you want to create in your presentation. Obviously the presentation would include a summary of the story. Your summary of the script could be one page. Some of the characters, the leading characters, would have to be laid out. You can also talk about who you would want to cast in those lead characters. You can mention if you have someone already attached. You would include the director's letter of intent as well as a director's vision. You, as I said, can include some cast ideas unless you already have some attached, and if you do, you would include the letter of intents for the cast as well. Again, I would suggest you attach a senior executive producer who can guide you through the process, but also gives the investor a bit of a comfort level that there's someone there who knows what they're doing. Talk about who your audience is, define your market, and figure out what your distribution strategy is and why you're deciding this strategy to be applicable. Get your numbers straight, put your sales estimates together, offer some relevant statistics maybe in the subject matter that you are dealing with in your project. You would obviously introduce yourself and your team as well as your department heads, and if you have LOIs for some of the department heads, it would be great to attach them as well. You would put a budget together, but you only need to put a top sheet in your business expose. You would provide your international sales estimates. You can kind of make them yourselves, but it would be good if you have a sales agent that would put a stamp on it. You would then go and you figure out what your preliminary finance plan would look like, and the reason why that's important is you need to at some point figure out what you're going to ask the investor for that you're giving this business expose to. You run your calculations from all these revenue sources, and you run calculations for low, medium, and high. Investors want to see 3 calculations. They want to see what could happen and what's the worst case scenario. Be honest about the risk and offer some mitigation tactics, meaning you tell them we're going to have a completion bond company that will make sure that we're not going over budget. I'm going to have this amazing distributor who is very experienced and is selling similar product, things like that. You figure out how much money you're going to ask the investor for, and you figure out what the investor could be making. What is his ROI? What's his return? And what are the terms you're looking to suggest to him? Tell the investor exactly what the collateral is, and make sure that the investor understands that his interests and your interests are truly aligned. Obviously, you're going to make sure that you put an option agreement, and if you can put a chain of title, clearance report in your business plan. You don't have to, it's not necessary, but the option agreement for sure. And then I would say include letter of intents from everyone you can get it. Sales agents, cast members, cast members, directors, finance partners, distributors, etc. Anyone who you feel has a sales value, in essence, that makes your project look better and increases its value for an investor, you should provide an LOI from. Understand the risks, divulge them and mitigate them, and explain to the investor in your expose how you go about that.